Hello, DJ and Andrea. What's up? Let's see who is in YouTube. Okay. Let's see here. Just getting set up. Welcome. Let's see. Okay. Share to a group. Public group. Share. Okay. Hey, Robert. I haven't had a chance to answer your email. I also haven't had a chance to really talk to Yardley. He's really, really busy right now. And I'll email you about the other information later. Yay, just getting set up here. Going to do a quick episode. Let everyone know that we're still alive. We're still recording podcasts. Looks like I'm going to be flying solo tonight, which is always a real pain in the ass. And it's been a while since I did a solo podcast. Usually when I do solo shows, it's on my Apple Time podcast where I talk about Apple stuff. All right. Share. Okay. So I'll be trying to get into your comments in the show as well. I'm going to do my very best. Doing a solo podcast is very tricky. And then not losing the audience engagement. All right. So looks like we're going to have a very small house tonight. It is Friday night. We don't usually record on Friday night, but I had to reschedule this podcast from last week. Shit came up. All right. Thank you. I hope so. I definitely try to be, that's for sure. Hey, Lord Bags. We're going over the Last Watch. I'm going to talk about the Last Watch a little bit. And I am going to... What else am I doing? And just talk, about stuff from the show. Okay, so I should have everything here connected. All right, I think we're going to start.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones podcast.
Well, hello. Welcome back to Behind the Iron Throne. This is episode 222, and I'm your host, Chris Gray. It is May 31st, 2019. It's about 9 p.m. Eastern Time. A Friday, not usually when we do a podcast, but I wanted to pop this in because I missed doing the show last week. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Game of Thrones 2-hour documentary, The Last Watch, and also any comments from our live broadcast. We have people joining us live at facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. We have Andrea Triggs. Yay. We have Lord Stephen Baggs. We have Armani. What's up, pal? We have Kyle watching and DJ here live in the Facebook. Over here on the YouTube, that's Behind the Iron Throne.tv. We have Ashley. Yay. Sorry you missed us Monday and Tuesday. Last week, we didn't do those episodes. And of course, we have our friend Robert. And anyone else that wants to say hello, go ahead and do so in the chat, in the YouTube or the Facebook. We'll try to give everybody a shout out. And in our Get Vocal, that's GetVokl.com, we have Big Bad Brad. So this is going to be a pretty short episode. We didn't have an episode, last week, Monday and Tuesday. I don't know where my co-hosts are. Most of them are either sick or weren't able to make it for this particular scheduled show. And doing a solo podcast is always a pain in the ass. I don't think I've done a solo podcast on Behind the Throne in like years. So bear with me. There's a couple things that I wanted to really talk about. Besides the last watch, a couple of announcements real quick. Phantom Rider, yay! Phantom Rider is on YouTube right now. We just started, so you didn't really miss much. I encourage everyone listening to the podcast to join us live. Right now, I don't have the new schedule set up. I have to talk to my co-hosts, but once I do, we'll do a podcast. I'll announce it. If you follow us on Facebook or on YouTube, you'll get a notification when we are going to go live. If you watch on Facebook, then we have a announcement that pops up saying, when the next show is going to be live. I just don't know yet because I have Andrea, I have Trin, I have my sister, I have John, and I'm trying to get everybody on the same schedule to see who I can have on the shows and get everyone together. We have Paul, yay! Paul says, just watched the last watch yesterday, so perfect timing for today. Awesome. I watched it last week, and I tried to watch a little bit of it today when I got home from work to share some of my thoughts with everyone here in the community. Make sure if you're not a part of it, you should come over to Facebook and join Club BTIT. It's an awesome Facebook group, and everyone's welcome, and everyone's treated with respect. Now, I have a couple of things here, emails and some feedback I want to read out, and then we're going to get into my thoughts for the last watch. And I want to hear everyone live what you guys thought of the last watch. So let's start on Facebook. We got messaged on Facebook here to our Facebook page. This is from Dina. Yay! Hey, all. Listening to episode 221, you discussed whether there was any allusion to John having reservations about sleeping with Dany because of relations. Here's my theory. All of this season, there are these hearkening back to season 1 moments. I remember there being a discussion between Jon and Tyrion about why he never slept with prostitutes, and his main reason was his fear of accidentally sleeping with his mother. The lifelong belief of moral compass just doesn't disappear. Yeah, I still believe that there was an issue Jon had with sleeping with Dany. But thank you so much, Dina, for the feedback. Let's see. We also had a couple emails here. Let's see. The first email, actually, I think the email's from the same person. And if you ever want to email us, if you have ideas for future shows you want us to talk about, like topics for Behind the Iron Throne, any suggestions, any kind of feedback, our email is behindtheironthrone@gmail.com. So go ahead and email us with any ideas you may have. We're going to try to record for as long as possible. And I'm toying with the idea of, doing the new series that's supposed to be coming out called Blood Moon. Well, I think it's going to be called Blood Moon. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. Or we're also going to be doing some book-related content here on this podcast. We're going to be switching gears and starting to focus a little bit more on the book stuff, how it relates to the show, and then, total book stuff. That being said, let me read this next feedback from Zachary. It says, how about High Septon rolling around in his grave? Now, in the last episode, we were talking about, what character we thought was rolling around in their grave, as to what happened at the end of this episode, at the end of season 8 here. And Zachary says, how about the High Septon? All he wanted was the crown and holy faith to be united as one. Now he has to see some cripple creeper as king and a majority of King's Landing destroyed. Another email from Zachary says, they treated Dany like a millennial / Gen Z, held her hand, sheltered her, and then once they were gone, she basically got kicked into the real world and hypothetically got told to figure it out yourself. Chase is watching us live on the Facebook. Awesome. Welcome. Let's see. Over here in the YouTube, we have a couple comments. Phantom Writer says, I tweeted a couple weeks ago, if you guys still read emails, no one answered. That's true. I'm very sorry about that. I haven't really been paying attention to Twitter. Quite honestly, I hate Twitter. So my team is supposed to be watching Twitter for me, and they haven't been, so I'll have to talk to them about that. But yeah, we still do try to answer the emails and read them on the show. Robert says he also, talking about John, other information, he didn't want to have children out of wedlock. And Ashley Jordan is saying, yes, do it. Do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do something, that's for sure, because I love podcasting. Now, we also have other podcasts, real quick to mention. We have the T Nerd T Show, which I don't record anymore, but it's available. And we have Nerd Theater, which we will be recording a new episode shortly. We review movies. The next movie we're doing is Suicide Squad. So check out that podcast. It's called Nerd Theater by T Nerd T, my company, Total Nerd Takeover Studios. Shayna is here in Get Vocal. Yay! Welcome. So that was all the feedback. And if you guys have anything you want to bring up during the show, please pop it into one of the chats on one of the social medias here that I can follow, except for Twitter, because I'm not paying attention to Twitter. And Samantha's here. Yay! Welcome, Samantha. Yeah, I can't stand Twitter. That 140 characters bull crap. I don't know. I just don't like it. I prefer Facebook. One of my mentors told me a long time, you should be wherever you can be the best that you can be. And it's hard enough dealing with all the different social medias as it is. Phantom Writer says, you guys should cover the Dunk and Egg stories. They're great and informative. Yes. I love the Dunk and Egg, thick as a castle wall. I love that story. And, definitely going to be looking at that for sure. There's lots of content still to cover in George R.R. Martin's world. Plus, there's 2 more books that need to come out, and who the hell knows when they're coming out. So that would be really awesome to see Winds of Winter come out shortly. I keep hearing different rumors, and I'm hoping that it comes out sooner rather than later, because I'm really interested in that story. I'm so crazy about fantasy that I started listening to, and I think it was because of Shayna here and Get Vocal. We were talking about The Wizard's First Rule, The Sword of Truth, and by Terry Goodkind. And I started listening to it again, and I stopped listening to it. I say I listen to books because I don't have time to sit and read anymore. And I'm back in the story. I'm having a good time listening to it. It's after listening to Game of Thrones and watching Game of Thrones, Terry's like Pussycat compared to what George R.R. Martin writes. Melissa, welcome to the live show. Melissa says yes to Dunk and Egg. Dunk and Egg has to be one of my favorite books that George did. I did like the History of Westeros. I like that. I didn't really like the Targaryen book. Was it Fire and Blood or whatever the hell it was called? I kind of blanked it out of my mind because I didn't really like it. It seemed like just an extension of the history book. Phantom Writer saying George R.R. Martin said that if Winds of Winter December 2020, you can exile him to the tar pits. Yes. I don't really want to exile anybody. I just want to have that damn book. That'd be so awesome to have. All right, so let's talk a little bit about The Last Watch. Now, I sat and watched it. I was actually a little bit late to the party Sunday night when it came out. And I don't know, I didn't have high hopes. It looked kind of interesting. And I thought to myself, should I waste the time? And I'm glad I did. Now, this actually aired. Let me see what the air date was here. May 26th, 2019. The intro was really awesome. I got to say, the way that it had the music come in, and you had, I guess it was I don't know if that was a tapestry or a blanket or something. And it looked really cool, the way that they did that intro. And I believe the director of this particular documentary was Jeannie Finlay. And watching a lot of this kind of changed my mind a little bit on how I felt about season 8 in general. Now, I've been on the podcast for a long time, and I've always said that the Game of Thrones television show, even if you don't agree with the writing, has always created an amazing atmosphere. You have an absolute awesome cast. You had a absolute awesome costume, makeup. design, locations, even the CGI was really good. Other than that one time we first saw Danny ride the dragon, that looked kind of silly here. Yay, Big E is here. Good old Big E, welcome, and live in the YouTube channel. That's awesome. Yes, Ashley, it also made me appreciate the hard work as well. And we don't usually think about that when we're watching the show, and I think my sister, thank you, Shayna. It was a tapestry. Thank you so much, Shayna. When my sister is on the podcast, a lot of people, she made an excellent point about the passion we have. When we watch the show, we kind of fall into that world. And we forget about all the hard work and all the effort that not only the actors put in, but the people that you don't see. Like, for example, the guy that does the snow. Now, if you watch the episode, the 1 hour, 58-minute documentary, then you know who I'm talking about, the snowman fella. And, riddled with issues, trying to put snow, in different places. And there was snow that was placed in the show, like at King's Landing. I never saw it. And he was sprinkling it like in a door area where like the threshold of the door area into like a hall, like a stone arch hallway, like an open hallway. You don't notice it, but he was being very meticulous on the details. And I think that's absolutely incredible. They were having issues with the weather. They had issues with not having enough toilets. And these people are going out of their goddamn minds trying to figure out how to do the logistics, how to get everyone on set, how to work around the atmosphere of the different directors putting their heart and soul into these episodes, the right locations, the right lighting. The lighting, we'll get to that later. But yeah, it was amazing. Stephen Bagg says, John put snow in Danny's place. That's a good one. Gold star. Let's see over here. We have Biggie says season 8 of Game of Thrones will win all the awards in the technical, cinematography, music, custom CGI. I agree. Ashley Jordan said makeup. Intricate details. Ashley, you're absolutely right. And Biggie, the lady who sewed the Targaryen banner. And even like I'm watching this and I kind of I was enjoying watching behind the scenes. And let me see if I can find the gentleman's name here who was talking about, let me see if I can find it here. Andrew McClay, who was an extra, I believe, is the actor's name. Just watching this guy like through the adventure was really awesome. I had a lot of time, or I had a lot of fun watching his time on the camera. And I was actually expecting them for us to have more actors, like seeing more of Kit and Amelia, although they were like the two actors we saw the most of. We didn't get to see a lot of like Alfie. We saw a little bit of Gwendolyn when they were doing that read. We saw a little bit of John Bradley. We even saw Sean Bean during that script read through, which was awesome. We'll get to that in a second. So when we were watching, I'm watching this guy, this extra, Andrew, and one of the things I thought was hilarious was when he was talking about bacon or a BLT, and he says, "Do you know what a club sandwich means?" And the other guy says, "No." And Andrew says, "Chicken and lettuce under bacon." I thought that was funny because BLT is bacon, lettuce, and tomato, right? And the way he said it was kind of funny. And Andrew is John Starklover his cousin. That's right. So Jonathan Stonemaw Starklover should have a brother or a cousin, and it would be this guy Andrew. Absolutely loves the Starks, and it's funny because they were kind of heckling one of the other people that were showing up on set. I don't know if you guys remember that. The guy was wearing a one of the Flayed Men shirts or jackets rather, and I guess every year that they're shooting, they all get a different kind of jacket, and each one is themed for, I guess, whatever is the big story that year. So that was pretty cool. So they were kind of heckling back and forth, but it looked like everyone was having a good time. But it also looks like it was grueling. I mean, they're running out into the hallway with their swords raised and they're screaming, and then up something didn't work out right. Cut. Let's redo it. And I can't imagine having to do that over and over and over again. And the mud that we see in the HBO series is mud on the ground. It is actually muddy. It is a slop pit. It is disgusting. Now over here in the YouTube feed, we have Phantom Writer says, I feel by watching this documentary that a lot of people did hard work, but also burned out, which speaks to the plot holes and inconsistencies with characters. Yeah, for sure. I can see that. I mean, if you watch it, you can see that a lot of people were frustrated, and you're trying to organize hundreds of people in different locations and then trying to make the story fit. And they were rushing it because of that. They only had so many episodes per season, which is a shame, but that's what they did. Paul says, I was blown away by King's Landing. All the little details throughout the show are amazing. I have a newfound appreciation for how they pulled it off. I also like the extras they followed. Absolutely. And that kind of gave the documentary perspective, like a good perspective, seeing it through their eyes. And also the makeup, the lady, the husband and wife, I believe, were doing all the makeup. And, they had to leave their daughter at home, and they were FaceTime videoing her, talking about how they loved her and all this stuff. And it was kind of touching that. And it was a little bit heartbreaking. These people put a lot of effort into this. And I feel bad about all the bad reviews that I gave the Game of Thrones over the years after watching this. Ashley Jordan on our BehindTheIronThrone.tv says, and then to have people not like the finished product has got to be disheartening. Now, I want to touch on this for a second, and if you don't want to hear me ramble on like on my soapbox, then just shut the fucking live show off or end the podcast, because I know some of the people don't like when I do this, and I don't really care right now. I create a lot of podcasts. I've been doing it for years, and I have YouTube channels. I do, video reviews, and I don't do stuff like they do. Obviously, what they do is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And what I do is it's Y-rated online content. Like they're A-rated. I'm all the way down at the fucking bottom. But whenever you put out something that you made, and I don't care what anybody says, if you're creating content, your heart's in it to some point. If people say, "Oh, I just do it for the money," I don't believe that for a fucking second. It's a pile of bullshit. You put your heart into something that you do like this. I don't know. There's something when you create content, when you're in front of a camera, when you're in front of a microphone, when you're in front of an audience, some of your soul, some of your heart goes into it, and you're creating this content. And when you get said and done, you can act like a badass and say, I put that shit out there. I don't care what anybody says. That's bullshit. You think about it night and day. Like after our last episode, 221 went out, I'm sitting there thinking, boy, I hope people like it. I hope that people respond to it. I hope that more people download the podcast. I hope that people appreciate what you do. And I know that a lot of the live people do. They tell me all the time, you guys are freaking awesome. And some of the emails I get are fantastic, but you still think about that other, hundreds, 40, 50,000 people that downloaded it. Wonder what they think. And now here you are at Game of Thrones, and you create this awesome adventure. You put in your life's blood way more than I do in this crappy little studio here. And here comes a guy like me, I'm not big time, and I come and shit on your product. And I think, wow, maybe I should have rethought some of the shit that I said. And I know I don't like bad feedback, so I try to give constructive criticism, and hopefully my emotions don't get crazy and I don't start going off on how it sucks and whatnot. And I know a lot of people are very passionate about it, and I don't want to take away from their passion, but I think that we should all, watch this documentary, take a step backwards, and maybe reassess where we are in terms of how we feel about the finished product. Was the writing the best? I think that most people can agree that it wasn't. Could they have done better? Well, sure. Can't we all? We can always do better, right? We can always do a better job if given the right time, better opportunities. And I just wanted to say that, I have a huge appreciation for what they have done on the show. So let me go back over here. I got a lot of comments here to get caught up on. Let's see. Ashley says, nope. I'm sorry. I already read that. Phantom says, I think they edited around actors and especially writing because people didn't like the season and stacked it with likable people in order to sidestep some of the disaster aspects. Ashley says, yes, they didn't intend to get it wrong intentionally. I don't agree with some of the choices, but it's still a phenomenal series. Over here we have Andrea Triggs. Yay. I thought it was well balanced between wrapping up the show and not wanting it to end. You're awesome, Chris, and our opinions are all warranted, but the doc does give a unique POV. Yeah, the documentary does give a unique point of view. You're absolutely right. And, I don't want to. And Dexter says here, welcome, Dexter. Welcome to the live show. Welcome, Roy. Roy, I went to high school with you. You're awesome. I'm glad you're able to tune in. Let me go over here at Get Vocal. We have someone I cannot. Lokeesh. Yay, Lokeesh. Welcome. Stefan's here. Yay. And I didn't see anybody new pop into the YouTube. But if you do, go ahead and say hello, and I'll give you a big shout out on the live show. Yes, Stefan, I'm talking to my co-hosts on this podcast about Blood Moon. I'm also thinking about a couple of different podcasts. It really depends on time. And I'm working on a really big project right now called YesYouCanPodcast.com, and it's also on Facebook. I want to teach people how to podcast. So, everyone has something unique to say, and there's always an audience. And I want to be able to share my experience with people to teach them how to podcast. Now, it's not going to be free, but it is going to cost something. Naomi says, I was just so sad to have to watch knowing that it was the end. I'll tell you, it was sad. When I got done watching the documentary, I was a little choked up. I really was. I felt like I couldn't believe it was over. I really couldn't. Years of my life, not only watching it, but podcasting about this. It really hit me in the feels. And when they were, saying, okay, that was Kit Harington's last shot, or that was Emilia Clarke's last shot, and they're, saying goodbye and walking away. Of course, they weren't the scenes I thought they were going to be doing the last shots. And it was like, oh my God. And Kit Harington, when he broke down and started crying, wow, that doesn't get you in the feels. You better check your fucking pulse because you're dead. Let's see. Yeah, Phantom Rider. I definitely will check out Cobra Kai. Oh yeah, we would love that. I mean, my sister and I, we loved everything 80s and whatnot. Yeah, Ashley, I felt empty too. It was incredible. And as I'm reflecting, I got done watching. Dexter says, "I'm just glad that I got an ending. The books will never be finished." And you may be right. So at the end of the, I'm going to jump kind of to the end, and I'm going to jump back into the middle of this in a second. So at the end of the at the documentary, I felt like, wow, I can't believe it's over. And the TV was at the very end, and it was over. And I stream it on HBO now, and I'm just sitting there staring at the TV, and it's like locked on to like what's next or some fucking thing like that. And I'm thinking, what is next? Like, wow, what the hell am I doing next? This is crazy. All this time into the show, and it's over. And it's been an incredible. This has got to be one of the most incredible shows I've ever watched. Like I said, whether you like the writing or not, we're going to do a rewatch from season 1, episode 1, all the way back to the end. Knowing what we know now, I'd like to kind of go through it and break some stuff down more. I'm going to have Andrea on and try to relate stuff to the books and have a little fun with that. Means that, there are no deadlines now, so we can do whatever the hell we want podcast-wise. And I don't want this podcast to end anytime soon, as long as I can, keep at it, which is the real issue. But, if you think about the show and the ups and downs, the emotional connection that it's created over the last, almost 10 years. We had that break. We'll just 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And it's just amazes me the different feels I got out of this. Now, I'm a huge nerd. You guys that follow me on my Instagram or my social media or wherever the hell you follow me on the podcast, whatever, know that I love, Star Wars and, Star Trek and wizards and warriors and Lord of the Rings and superheroes. I mean, Superman's my favorite. You guys know this. And Batman and Marvel and all that crap. But nothing makes you feel, nothing has ever made me feel up and down like the Game of Thrones has. It really hasn't. Now, I don't know about you guys watching live. If there's been any other show that makes you feel quite like this, maybe Lost, maybe Battlestar Galactica. Not for me. I haven't watched Lost yet. It's on my list of things to watch. But yeah. Let's see here. Phantom Rider says, yeah, after 10 years of reading the books and being a fan of the show since the pilot premiere, it was surreal for it to be over. Yeah, it is crazy. Melissa says the table read and when Viserys died was heart-wrenching. Yes, and we're going to talk about that in a second. All right. Ashley says, I have a big question for Andrea and company. Like, why isn't Jon the king of the Dothraki? And Stefan says, best show I've ever watched. I agree. Now, I don't have an answer for that, Ashley. If you want to, keep that question for when I have Andrea on. Andrea, I think you're right. Andrea Triggs, I think you're right. I'm going to have to watch Lost. It's on my list. I'm definitely going to have to watch it. And someone said the 100 is good. Speaking of which, I almost forgot. Damn it. See, when you do a solo podcast, it's a real pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie. Welcome, Shayna Lynn. Yay. Naomi says, nope, no other show compares and have never been so emotional invested in a show. Ashley says, I've never watched Lost either. So I want to mention something. Ice and Fire Con, we've talked about it 100 million times. We're probably driving you guys nuts. Ice and Fire Con sale, our tickets are going on sale, I believe tomorrow, June freaking 1st. Holy cats. Ice and Fire Con is incredible. I'm not going to lie. It is a smaller convention and everybody fucking gets along. It is an amazing experience. It's going to be in Deer Creek, Ohio, at the Deer Creek Lodge in Ohio. I'm going to be there again with my team, trying to do some live shows there. I hope. I mean, that's the idea. The internet's really shitty there, but I am going to record something there. Either it's going to be live or it's not, but it's still going to be a recorded show. And the tickets are going on sale tomorrow. And they just announced today that for Ice and Fire Con 2020, they have a guest of honor, David J. Peterson. Now, if you don't know who that is, I'm going to tell you who it is. He is the character he's the creator of the Dothraki and the Valyrian languages for the HBO's A Game of Thrones, as well as working on different languages for shows including Penny Dreadful, which I freaking love that show. I wish they would have done more seasons of that. The CW's 100 and a few more. So definitely want to check out Ice and Fire Con 2020 for David J. Peterson. I think that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to meet him. Where is it located? It's located in Deer Creek, Ohio, not too far from Cincinnati, I believe. Over here, we say, let's see. Yes, it is still there after the tornadoes. Yeah, we had quite a few tornadoes here on the East Coast. Where I live in Pennsylvania, we got hit pretty damn hard as well. Stephen put in the iceandfirecon.com. So it's iceandfirecon.com. Very easy to get to. Shayna says, Star Trek The Next Generation was my first show finale. Yeah. My first show finale. Oh my God, I don't even know what it is. I'd have to really think about that. Let's see. Over here in the Facebook. Dexter says, Game of Thrones pulled you in with the characters, made you love them, then killed them. No show has everyone that before, in my honest opinion. Emily says, I haven't watched the doc yet. Haven't had time to do so, and I think it'll feel sad and a bit too final. And I've been focused on getting through Chernobyl. How is Chernobyl? I've been wanting to see that. Andre says, I'm so excited for Ice and Fire Con. I hope you're going, because I'd love to meet you in person. And I'm going to tell you a real quick story. It means that we're doing such an impromptu episode. one of my favorite things to do is meet you guys, the community. And we had Justin, one of our followers here. I met Justin at the Ice and Fire Con, and I got to sign a few autographs, which was really freaking surreal. People are like, "Oh my God, Chris," because no one usually ever asks, who the fuck I am. I'm just the host, that owns everything. But the real stars of my podcast are Andrea and Trin and John and Julie and Yardley and the co-hosts. They're the ones that really bring the magic to the show. I'm not as good as they are when it comes to the Game of Thrones knowledge and the information. So they're really the stars of the show. Let's see here. Naomi says, I want to go to Ice and FireCon so bad, but going to Australia this year to see a friend who doesn't watch Game of Thrones. Well, I would love to go to Australia. We used to have co-hosts that were in Australia, and I hear it's an amazing place. And someday I'd like to go down under, put another shrimp on the Barbie. Emily says Chernobyl is really good, Chris. Thank you. I'll have to check it out. I like some of the actors, although I don't remember their names. Nice. Let's see. Phantom says, I think that Downton Abbey had a pretty satisfying finale, though ominous. I've never watched that show. It wasn't really in my wheelhouse. And Ashley says, I started Chernobyl today. All right, now let me go look at my list here. I actually did come somewhat prepared with a list. And I wanted to find one of the actors' names. I can't remember people's names for some reason. I just always have a problem remembering names, which is a real sucky thing. Come on, where's the character list? Here we go. Just waiting for this website to read. So during the script read, as they were doing that, I thought that was incredible that we got to see how they do that, and we even got to see Amelia Clark and Sophie Turner get their wigs put on, which was really cool. Talk about a pain in the ass. And we got to see Joe Dempsey, Peter Dinklage. We got to see Sophie. Oh yeah, we got to see Michelle Farley, Jerome Flynn, all these different characters. We got to see getting their makeup, or not their makeup, but in that reading, which is really cool. One of my favorites, of course, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who I absolutely love after watching the Game of Thrones. Absolutely. Why can't I? The audience may have to help me find this guy's name. I can't ever remember his name, for God's sakes. I'm looking for the guy that plays Varys, what his name is. I can't remember his name for some reason. I can't even find it on my list here. Lena Headey was there. I love her tattoo. Oh, Conleth. That's it. Conleth Hill. Sorry. Conleth Hill. So when they were talking about the death of Varys Conleth Hill, he kind of sat back, right? And he looked kind of like a little bit sad, unless I misread that during that cast reading. And then you got to see when they were talking about Ian Glenn, when his death kind of came up, he kind of sat back and looked. And I remember watching Amelia looking at Kit when Kit was reading about what he's going to do. And it was just very, very emotional. And then we got to see, footage of previous readings where you got to see like Sean Bean and some of the characters that aren't there anymore, which is really cool. And Isaac Wright actually looks pretty cool when he's not sitting in a wheelchair, acting like a creeper. Now, I have a really good idea, and I don't know if anyone's gonna want to watch this, but I'm thinking about getting like a really cool looking shaggy robe, like something that a person of the North would wear, and getting a folding chair, and just opening the folding chair, sitting down in it, throwing this cloak on me, and just having someone take a picture of me just sitting there staring into nothing, like in random places. Like I'm at Walmart parking lot and I'm just sitting there like staring at people and doing like the wheel creeper sighting and making like a game out of it. I'm really thinking about doing this. Will is joining us here in the Behind the Iron Throne.tv. Welcome. Hodor. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, what an amazing and we got to see oh my god, Halflor Julius Bjornsson. I can't say his fucking name. Uh he was practicing and they were doing some of the stunt work there and getting him ready for that big scene, between him and his brother, the Clegane Bowl that we've all been looking forward to. Now, I got to give a big shout out to Vladimir Ferdrik. I did my very best, Vladimir, playing the Night King, and also being the head of the stunt team coordinators or whatever. And I wonder if they're going to have him in the Blood Moon prequel stuff as the Night King, as he's being transformed into Night King. And I really enjoyed. Yeah, Shayna, you're right. He was funny, and I liked when they were at one of the hotels, and Kit's talking to some people, and then he kind of goes in and Vladimir's like, yeah, fuck it, let's go out to the crowd, and he goes out to the big crowd of people, and they're cheering and they're screaming and they want their autographs. He's taking pictures with them, yeah, and they're calling him Keat instead of Kit. They're calling him Keat, which was really fucking funny. And I really had a lot of respect for him doing that. That's like something I would do if I was ever some big fucking celebrity. I would get right in the audience and be like, yeah, let's take some pictures. Let's fucking hang out. Let's have some beers or something. And that was really cool. And then when he was leaving, he like raised his hands like he was raising the army of the dead. And I was reading an article today. Let me see if I can find that article. And it said something about how we finally got. Where in the hell was that article at? I have to quickly see if I can find it. Vladimir was talking about the Night King's motivations. And we never got like a real good when it was never really explained what his motivations were. And I believe he said something like he was not really happy about being made the Night King, and he just wanted to kill everybody because of that. Which is, not really the answer I was looking for, but it's some type of answer. So if I was going to rate the documentary, what would I give it? How many swords? And I'm curious to know what you guys out there in the ETIT Nerd Army community, what you guys would rate this as. And did it change your perspective on the show or the entire, the season 8 or the entire show itself? Ashley Jordan is saying 10 out of 10 swords. You're an awesome. You're a very fast typer. You get a gold star. I'm actually going to give this an 8 out of 10. I think that it was phenomenal. I think it was an amazing thing to watch. Shayna says, I've watched lots of behind the scenes and 10 out of 10. Oh, very good. Very good indeed. Another fast typer. Yeah, I was very impressed. Like I said earlier, it definitely has me thinking about everything differently. And I feel bad because I had judged many of the previous episodes very harshly in the past. And even, I guess, some of the episodes this season pretty harshly. Phantom Rider says 5 out of 10. If you can't move it, paint it. The set designs are another thing that really blew my mind. I still can't believe that they built what they built in what I think is a very short period of time. Shayna says, "Did you see Kit checked himself into a rehab?" And I wanted to ask about that. What you guys thought? When I first read that, I thought that maybe it was because all these people that he spent a lot of time shooting with are like almost like friends and family. They're friends, and of course, they maybe feel like they're family. And now it's over, and you have to walk away from that and move on. And I don't know, maybe the stress, maybe he was dealing with it with a little bit of the drink and feeling depressed. So checking himself in, I give you a lot of credit for that because it's extremely hard to admit when you have a problem or when something's bugging you like that. And I think it's even harder to take action. Shayna says he took it very seriously, but it was extremely stressful. The source added, ultimately, now that he has that break and has said goodbye to Jon Snow, he needed help to figure things out and be himself, to just be Kit. People.com. Oh, very good. Thank you for that article in that quote. Very good. Will says 6 out of 10. Wish they followed more people and extras, costumes, music, weapon makers. No, I can agree with that. They did follow some of the makeup people was awesome. But it would have been awesome to see, the music being made, like the orchestra doing their thing. That would have been cool. I also would have liked to seen how they made the weapons. And we did see some stitching of costumes, but maybe not enough. And following more extras probably would have been good too. Yeah. They probably could have made 2 documentaries, quite honestly. That's awesome. Ashley says, I think the documentary was awesome. I gained perspective and it made me appreciate it for more than just entertainment. Biggie says, good for him if you need help and went to seek it. And he went to seek it, and I hope he gets better. No, definitely. All right, let's see here. Over here in the Facebook, honestly, haven't watched the documentary yet, but crazy excited to. I expect that I will adore it and weep my way through. Yeah, I think you're going to. Let's see here. Will says, tell me that you're not worried that the snow guy in the documentary, he will have a hard time finding another snow job. He might. And he was definitely frugal. Definitely was. Like he was, I don't know if you guys caught it, but he was asking for like a piece of paper towel or something. And he's like, oh no, only one. Don't waste it. Don't give me 2, just one. And I thought, oh my God, he reminds me of somebody I know. It's only a paper towel, buddy. But yeah, that's got to be. I'm sure that there's plenty of. I guess there's plenty of work for that kind of stuff. But yeah, could you imagine if that? I can't imagine. How do you pick a job like that, or like you want to start your own business? At what point do you say, you know what? I'm going to make fake snow for movie sets. It's crazy. Yeah, you're right, Shana. They could have had a great CGI documentary. And I don't know a lot about CGI. I know a little bit about video. I mean, I'm amateur hour. I did spend a lot of money in the studio, but I'm pretty much amateur hour. And it was neat seeing her riding that big green screen type of contraption. So that was kind of neat to see that. And it's amazing what they could do with that technology. Definitely better than when she first jumped on Drogon and it looked like she was riding Falco or from the Neverending Story. It was Falco, right? That was the name of the flying dog thing. Yeah, Shayna, I think you're right. Those are jobs that you specifically find by accident. That makes sense. Falcor. Thank you. Thank you for that. I actually just bought that movie on iTunes the other day. I can't wait to watch it again. And the crappy sequel to it. Yeah, definitely. So an amazing documentary, in my opinion. Probably one of the best I've ever seen. And like I said, I give it an 8 out of 10. There's a lot of stuff, though, that I wish I could have seen more of. Oh, you know what? There was the food truck, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, part of my background was I did new construction plumbing years ago. And it was funny because we had a food truck. We called it the Barf Wagon. And it would roll up and it had, the one that they had on set was way, way better. But it was cool because they sold like hand warmers and different kind of food. And she was talking about some kind of food that she made for one of the people when she was making it. And then someone says, "Oh yeah, that's awesome!" And then everybody wants to buy it. So I thought seeing some of that was good too. Phantom says, "I knew a guy who did fake snow. They spin a lot of plates, not just fake snow." I'm sure that makes sense. Paul says, "I liked have they had the Wolf and Jockin there to put off the public." Oh yes. Yeah, they had the waif. You're right. They had the waif. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Waif and Jockin Nagar. So we actually thought that we saw some picture leaks and stuff like that, and we thought we had some video footage of the waif and Jockin Nagar on some of the sets. And you guys listen to the podcast know that Jonathan Stoma Starklover was animate that Jockin was going to show up, and we thought that maybe the waif was going to appear. Now, I kept saying that there wasn't enough time for that and no one wanted to believe me. And it turns out there wasn't because they never showed up. And I also want to say, and I want to rub my nose, I want to rub John's nose in this. Serial Pharrell, uh, the first sort of Bravos, the water dancer, did not come back. And guess what? He's not coming back in the books either. He is not Jock and Agar. They are not the same fucking person. At least I don't think they are. But at least in the show they weren't. So that's cool. Shayna says, laugh my ass off. They should have had that actor there too. And I think that I was watching an interview with Emilia Clarke, and I thought they had a rap party. Jason Momoa was there, if I remember correctly. I think that's what I was watching. I watched so many different or so many different interviews. There was one with Kit Harington. There was one. Oh my god, I can't think of the name of that British show I watched. It's funny as hell. It'll come to me at the end of the podcast. Of course it does. Emily says that was clever with the waif and Jockin, although I'm sad that we didn't see Jockin again. Yeah, me too. Me too. And another thing and I probably shouldn't nitpick this too much after all the praise I just gave the show. I wish we would have seen more of Arya and the Faceless Men, in the training process. I wish there would have been a little bit more than what we got. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. But of course, you can also argue that it would have been nice to see more of Dany, falling, off a rocker. Phantom saying the waif was really good in The White Queen. I've never seen The White Queen. Who else watches The White Queen? I think Andrea watches that. So real quick, I just want to do a big shout out to everybody that's watching the show live. You guys are awesome. And I love your participation. It really helps, especially when you're by yourself podcasting. Like another podcast I do, it's very, very difficult to do it on your own. You really have to kind of script everything out. And we didn't get a chance to record last week, Monday or Tuesday, so I wanted to pop this episode in here. And John Stonemoss Starklever was supposed to be here, but he's sick. So hope you feel better, John. There's another show on Amazon that I'm really looking at. What is it called? Good Omen, I think it's called. And some of my favorite actors are in it. That looks really cool. Matter of fact, someone asked me if I'm going to do a podcast about it. And I don't know yet. I really don't know what I'm doing. But it has, like David Tennant, Michael Sheen, some of my favorite actors of all time. So that's really cool. Now, before I end this podcast, I'm just going to do a couple quick announcements. And, there's a book, Shayna. There's a book about that called The Good Omen. It's based on a book. I'll have to check that out. Nami says, Jockin was such a fucking badass element. Would have loved to have him have a stellar moment in the final season. Yeah, that would have been cool. I'll have to check out that book. So one of the things I mentioned on the podcast before we wrap it up, and I just thought of this, is somebody made a meme of this, and I thought, wow, maybe I inspired that person. At the end of the season, or at one point before the show was over, with the Wheel Creeper, his eyes turning blue and becoming the Night King, like before, like the last shot, like that's the last thing you see. That would have been cool. And I think the meme was Jon Snow kneeling to Bran, and then Bran's eyes being blue, and that was it. I think that it was the meme I saw. It was pretty funny. And I did too, Emily. The House of Black and White stuff was cool. I just wish we had more of it. All right, so, right, Ashley? So what I'm going to end up doing now is I'm going to end the show, and keep an eye on Facebook, on our YouTube, for our next appearance. I got a couple of ideas kicking around, and if you guys have ideas, hit us up at behindtheironthrone@gmail.com. If you hit us on Twitter, it'll be a long time till I see it. I don't do good on Twitter, but I will definitely try. Maybe my personal Twitter, I might do a little bit better on, although I don't really monitor that either. I'm on all social media at Chris, CHRIS, J, Gray, and the number 7. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. That's where I'm at. Also, check out our Facebook page, Behind the Iron Throne, and check out our YouTube channel, Behind the Iron Throne .tv. And Get Vocal, GETVOKL.com. There's also an app that's for free. And I think that it's important for everyone to check out Get Vocal, because what we're going to end up doing is Get Vocal is a really cool platform where we can bring you into the show, whether you're on an iPhone or your computer. As long as you have a microphone, we're going to open it up so you guys can pop in and give us your opinion. For like, so instead of me reading all your comments, we can start bringing people in, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. It could be disastrous, but I think it could be a lot of fun. I think that I really want to get you guys in here so you feel even more connected to the stuff that we make than ever before. That's really been important to us. Good. That's awesome, Ashley. So, what else did I want to mention? I'm not sure, maybe 2 weeks to the next episode, just because I need a break. Oh, I am not going to the Con of Thrones, unfortunately. I have too many things going on with my day job and some of my other podcasting things that I do. Like I said, I'm working on yesyoucanpodcast.com. I'm going to teach people for a small fee how to podcast. Now I actually have time to work on it now that I can take a little break from the Game of Thrones. And also, if you want to quit smoking, check out quitsmokinglikeaboss.com. It's a $5 book that I wrote. It's on Amazon. It's cheap, inexpensive, and it'll change your life. I promise you that. If you like it, just email me and let me know. If you don't like it, well, you can email me and let me know. So I want to thank everyone for checking out this video, the live show. I want to thank you for checking out the podcast and continue being subscribed. We are going to continue to make more shows. They'll be better than this one, I promise you, because I'll have all my co-hosts. I'll have all the stars that you guys love hearing from with all their expert opinions. You won't have to listen to me ramble on for an hour. I promise you. So that being said, stay in touch with us. Keep following us. We'll have another episode out as soon as we possibly can. If you have any ideas for shows that you would like to, any topics or any ideas for the show, behindtheironthrone@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook. So thank you guys so much. And where can the HBO documentary be found? Nami? Yes, it's on HBO. It should be somewhere right there on that front page or under the Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure it's there. I don't think they took it away. I don't think it was limited time-wise. If you don't find it, message me on Facebook and let me know, so I know. Yeah, it's still a good read. Cinto, I think I said your name right. Even if you don't smoke, real quick personal plug. It has a lot of habit changing inside of it, and I think that if you can change habits in your life, you can pretty much change anything about your life. Not to get up on a soapbox and talk too much about that, but I really believe in you are the boss of your life. You are the commander of your destiny. No one else. Even if you have someone you call a boss at a job, bullshit. Your destiny. You make the choice. Yeah, my next book is going to be a motivational speaking book. It's coming. I'm working on that. It's later on down the road. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And I promise the next episode will be a lot better than listening to me for an hour. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast and putting up with me for an hour, and for continuing to be subscribed on Podbean or iTunes or Google or Stitcher or Spotify. You guys are awesome. We would not have a community without you. You guys are Behind the Iron Throne, Club BTIT. That's who you are. You are part. You make this happen. So we'll see you next time for another episode of Behind the Iron Throne. Woo! Peace out.